Right before the change, this is the hardest part. Let's talk about it. I got my little notes, but I'm trying to give it as raw as I can. Um, this is the part of the process nobody really likes to talk about. People don't quit because they're weak or incapable. They quit because this level is different than all the other levels before. In the beginning, it's easier to continue going because you have motivation. You might even have, a little bit of support here and there with things talking about it. Then you have hope about the situations and the things that you're doing. But this is the stage where you are leaning almost wholly on your faith. So you've dwindled down. You ran out of motivation. You ran out of hope. Now you're just standing on faith. And not the typical definition of faith that we always think about. But as I've begun to look back on this process of things and how they happen, I realized that it's a process. And the first part of the process is awareness. The process starts with awareness. And sometimes awareness can make you feel a lot of pain. You end up feeling a lot of self-responsibility and self-blame. You start to realize at this point that you actually are responsible for the life and world that you have created for yourself. And this realization of awareness can bring a lot of shame and guilt. It can make you feel bad about what things that you have taken the time to focus on and entertain that you've ended up creating in your world and space. And if you don't forgive yourself and really spend deep time in self-forgiveness, you can fall off at this point too. This is an area where some people do fall off because self-forgiveness is definitely key. After awareness, part 2 comes understanding. So at this level, you start to be able to pay attention to the patterns. You start to become more aware of the underlying subconscious thoughts and things and programming that actually had you behaving the way that you were behaving in the first place. But now you just become more aware of it. You don't just know it's there. You've actually noticed the patterns. You see the same fears being repeated, reactions to the same stories that you tell yourself, and you start to realize there's this light bulb moment, and you start to realize that your external reality is simply reflecting something inside of you that's been there the whole time, running in the background. This is when you start to really understand what you become aware of and how it actually impacts you. And once you see these patterns, you can't go back. You can't erase them. Now you begin to understand what's going on with the patterns. Then there's part 3. This was a wonderful part for me, and I hope that you guys have been working on and continue to work on this part as well, which is building self-trust. This is where you just stop blindly accepting things that the world has told you to accept, and you start to question things. You start to ask yourself, why am I doing this way? And you start to pay attention and observe. You start to experiment and test things out. And you begin to notice signs and synchronicities. You notice what happens when you actively think different. You can actually observe yourself in the moment. And you keep getting little tiny pieces of evidence repeatedly over and over that give you small confirmations that make you think, well, maybe I'm not crazy. Maybe something really is starting to change. Maybe I'm changing. And after that, part 3, there's part 4, which to me is the most challenging stage of them all, because this one is knowing. Knowing is not believing. There's a difference between believing and knowing something. This is where you know who you're becoming. You know what's possible. You know your value. You understand your power. The problem is that the outside world has failed to catch up. It is not appearing the way that you know and feel internally inside now. So your money haven't caught up, the opportunities aren't there yet, your business isn't working the way that you seem to want it to be yet, and the relationships are just off the mark. This is where a lot of people quit because you're standing in an in-between place. You are no longer in the old place that you used to be in, and you're also not in the new place that you've been cultivating and building either. So you're really standing in between two realities, and the old one is fading away and being destroyed while the new one hasn't really arrived yet. And this is why this portion is really about standing on faith in yourself and who you've become and what you've built. So part 5, why 90% of people quit here. They don't quit at the beginning. You have some motivation then. You still have faith. God has just given you guidance. He's giving you revelation. This is the turning point. It's hardest distractions, emotions, old ways of thinking and being will try to come against you. But you have to stay calm, stay present, and continue to push forward into that new reality where you are being that millionaire version of yourself, where you're responding with that millionaire energy, where you know who you are and you know what you're capable of. Can you trust yourself to keep going even when you can't see any results yet? Don't doubt it. This is the final chapter. Thanks for watching.